So you listened to your buyer's agent, you made an amazing offer, and the seller said yes. Now the real work is just beginning. Check out this video to find out what you need to do next that can be the difference in getting an offer accepted and actually getting to closing day on your dream home. Welcome back. Here is another crucial step in the home buying process. So we wanted to do a video for you to help explain what is going to happen after you've finally gotten under contract, or as we call it in Georgia, getting a binding agreement on a home. So step one is going to be to turn in your earnest money. Depending on what you put on the agreement, most earnest money is due on day one of going under contract. Sometimes you can get a few extra days, but to stay in compliance with the agreement, you'll want to get this turned in to whatever party is holding the earnest money as soon as possible to show everyone that you have the money and it's now in the right hands. Most people write a check or get a certified check from their bank, but a newer and faster way to do this is with a wire transfer. Our RE/MAX office has the wire transfer service, so that eliminates having to meet up with somebody in the middle of a workday or on the weekend to get it turned in. Step two is getting the inspections ordered. If you remember from other videos when we've talked about the due diligence period, this is sometimes referred to as the inspection period as well. These are the crucial days at the beginning of going under contract in which you can get any kind of inspections done, you can get estimates from contractors on repairs, you can drive around the neighborhood. You basically need to do any type of research to make sure that this is the house, the neighborhood, and the community that you want to be in. Even if you had to put 0 days down for due diligence, we still recommend that you get an inspection. You can still get an inspection and ask for repairs, or you can back out and lose the earnest money. But if you had a major foundation issue, backing out and losing your earnest money is a way smaller problem than buying a house that's going to have some kind of problem that maybe sometimes can't even be fixed at all. So even though you are under contract, it is still time to really make sure you want to move forward or not on the home before you get to closing day and have buyer's remorse. Third thing you're going to work on right away as soon as you've gotten through the inspections and you've done all your research and you know that this is the area and this is the house and you want to move forward is to get with your lender and finalize any paperwork needed so that your lender can send over the file to their underwriter. That's a person whose job it is to look over everything in your file and decide if everything's in order so that you can receive final loan approval. Also, what is happening during this stage is an appraisal will get ordered. In Georgia, a home has to be appraised and the loan amount is based on the amount of the appraiser's value. So even if you're under contract, for example, $200,000, if the appraisal comes back at $190,000, you've now got to figure out how to handle the $10,000 gap that the appraisal was off by. Sometimes the seller will reduce the price by the $10,000, and sometimes the buyer and seller can meet in the middle by $5,000 and $5,000, and sometimes the seller refuses to reduce the price, and the buyer is going to need to pay the extra $10,000 in order to get to closing. Whatever gets negotiated can be the difference between the buyer getting the home or not getting the home. So having an amazing real estate agent working for you who has the experience to navigate through these types of issues is the best thing you can do. These are all crucial steps that will ultimately determine if everybody's going to make it to closing day or not. So be sure to send in any paperwork or fill out any forms that the lender or the closing attorney are asking from you. Step 4 is steer clear of major life changes. The other important factor you're going to need to pay attention to is not something that's inside of the deal, but outside factors. In order to make the loan process go smoothly and not do something that would cause the loan to not get approved, you will need to be thinking about avoiding any major life changes during this time. Do not get married in the middle of this process. Other examples would be to avoid major purchases such as a car or a boat or new furniture for the house or any other big ticket spending items. If you put these on a credit card, it can make your credit score go down. And if you take the funds directly from your bank account, it can change the amount of funds the lender has to see in order to prove your down payment money and your money needed for closing costs. There are exceptions to a lot of these rules, so if something is going to happen like this, the first person you want to ask if it's possible or how to go about doing it is your lender. They may have ways to help you navigate these types of issues, so before you make any type of big life decision while you're under contract or a binding agreement on a home, be sure to tell them what's going on and ask their opinion as to if it can or can't be done. If it can be done, what are the ways you need to go about getting it done so that it doesn't affect the loan approval process? And step 5 is you're on your way to closing. Once you've made it past the due diligence days and you've gotten the appraisal back and you've worked through any of the loan issues and appraisal issues, you are now getting close to the finish line. But don't wait and take your foot off the gas. The last step is to prepare for closing day. You will want to get the final loan approval back from your lender and or their underwriter that tells you that you have what's called the clear to close. That means that they have everything they need and they're ready to send over the loan package and the funds to close to the closing attorney. If they have any small conditions to get you to the final loan approval, you'll need to work on those right away and keep in communication with them until they are able to tell you you've gotten the clear to close. Once they have the clear to close and they've sent the closing information over to the attorney will send you a closing statement that shows all the final numbers of such as like your purchase price and the amount of money you've got to have for closing day. You will also want to get the seller or their agent to make sure that any repairs or other items that they agreed to handle are done and set up a final walkthrough of the home and get copies of any receipts of any work that they performed. And lastly, you will need to get with the closing attorney to confirm the closing date, time, and location and make sure they have all the information they need from you. Then you will need to wire them your funds needed for closing day. You will typically want to wire the money to them the day before closing to make sure it has plenty of time to make it from your bank to their bank. And finally, you will get to show up to the closing, sign your final documents, and get the keys to your dream home. Well, that's it. Thanks again for watching this video that's part of our home buying video series. Be sure to comment below and subscribe if you want to keep getting our latest videos and content, and we'll see you on the next episode.